In this lesson, you'll learn from some of the best logos designed in the world. Now, a lot of these probably seem very simple, but creating an effective logo that's distinct and memorable is a lot harder than many people think. We'll be going over some quick techniques to create similar logos, and some of the techniques that they might have used to create these are included in this lesson, but it's more than just the techniques. In this course, you'll also learn best practices in terms of color. You'll learn to explore creativity and sketching to come up with original ideas for logos. But to get started, let's look at some really well-designed logos for inspiration, and also we'll have some quick wins, some quick techniques to learn to inspire you to learn even more throughout this course. So one of the most well-known logos is the Nike logo. Now, in some versions of this and older versions, it had just the word Nike above it. But in this one, it's very simple. It's just the Nike swoosh is what they call it. And to practice the pen tool, this is a great logo to mimic. Of course, we're not going to use this logo, for a client or for ourselves. It is trademarked, but it's a great logo to try to copy in terms of just stretching your skills with the pen tool. So go ahead and open up Illustrator and go File New, Start a New Document, and just go to the pen tool here. And then you can choose some kind of stroke here, the border, and then set the fill to none. Just click it and then hit none right there. And if you don't see the Tools panel or the Color panel, just go up to Window and make sure Color's checked as well as Tools. And you can also go to Control, make sure that's checked up at the top. That'll give us some of the options of the tools. So to create something similar to the Nike swoosh, with the pen tool, just click and then come up here. That is a straight line, right? If we just click and let go, we don't want to click and let go. You need to click and drag. Oh, I messed up. I didn't go too far up enough. So you can go to the direct selection tool, the white arrow, the top of the panel, just drag it up. All right. Now I can click on it here and just keep going. Now I'm going to click and drag, and then just click and let go. All right. Now I need to reset it back this way, so I'm going to click and drag. All right. Doesn't look like it at all, obviously, but it's just fun to practice with. You can flip those so it has a fill, and the cool thing is you can use the white arrow and keep adjusting it. So if you're like, well, it's starting to look like it, we just need to bring this down a little bit. Maybe bring that over. So it's getting a little bit closer, right? So again, you just go to Pen Tool, click and drag, bring that way up there. And if you need to reset, see how this is going straight up like that, and then it's going to curve back down, almost like it has velocity or momentum. For example, say a train is going on tracks here, and it can't just stop here and turn back. It's going to have momentum, so we need to stop it. So click there. Then it will reset the angle. Now you can click and drag, and then click right there. All right, that's the pen tool. We'll get into it more detail, just options and shortcuts using it and best practices using the pen tool. But the Nike swoosh logo is an excellent logo. It's a landmark case study of just effective design that's memorable. So when you see that, you associate with Nike. So they've been successful in creating a memorable brand with that. It is a logo with simplicity. And there are other simple and effective ones like the World Wildlife Fund. And this is just, your mind fills in the blanks, right, with the panda there. As well as the Apple logo. It's very simple. So how did they create, that kind of the bite out of the apple? Well, to practice that, you can create a shape. If you click and hold onto the shape tool in the tools panel and go to ellipse tool, click and drag out. Then you click and drag another one on top of it. You select both of them. And then right here on the Pathfinder panel, to bring this up, just go to Window and then Pathfinder. And just click that second one, minus front, and then it puts that bite into the apple. Another way to do that is if you just draw out a shape, and then you can click and hold on the pen tool, go to Add Anchor Point tool, and just click right there, click right there, just add some new anchor points, maybe something like that. Then use the white arrow and just bring it in, right? It's not going to be as clean as what we just did, though. I could actually probably adjust that a bit with the handles there. All right. And yet another way is to use, you'll learn in this course that there's many ways to do the same thing often. Sometimes the result is a little bit different, but So just create another circle or some kind of ellipse, and then click and hold onto this width tool and go to the bloat tool. You want the center of that tool to be on the outside of the ellipse, and then just click and hold. And there you go. That's kind of small, so you can just double click over here, make it larger. So you can make it pretty large, like 400 width and height. There you go. All right. So many different ways to do similar things in Illustrator, but the Apple logo, I mean, it used to be very complicated. We'll also talk about that, is the importance of simplicity without being too simple. And then later iterations of it, of course, were much more simple and I think more effective. There are other examples like Visa logo and the Hawaiian Airlines logo. Hawaiian Airlines, that's a great silhouette, simple shape. We're going to talk about simplicity in logos, but also effective color. You want color to be relevant to the brand, of course. We're going to be going over color harmony, different color schemes, and if you want to explore some possibilities, you can go to Window, and then of course color, but you also go to Color Guide. So if you have some kind of base color selected to begin with, and then over here, got many different ways that color can harmonize. So we'll be going over that. And so just practice with some of the shapes. So if you draw a shape out and then draw another one out, and you can make it another color according to that color scheme. We'll also be going over Adobe Color and then color swatches like Pantone as well. Another well-known logo is the Walmart logo, actually. So this is a good example of making a radial pattern to the side of it. So a couple different ways to create that pattern. So if you click and hold onto the rectangle tool, go to the ellipse tool over here, and I'll just click and drag a shape there. And then you can hold down Alt on the PC or Option on the Mac and click and drag. So it's the same exact size and color and the size for now. And we're actually going to make this a little bit larger. So hold Shift and click and drag. And also hold Alt or Option. Alright, so their centers are perfectly aligned horizontally. And I'm going to make this a little bit different color. And then I want to blend these, right? So instead of using Transform H, we can actually use the Blend tool we'll be going over. So just go to Object, Blend, Make, and then you can go to Object, Blend, Blend Options, and you can choose how many specific steps are in between. So if you change it and then toggle Preview, you can see the before and after. So I'm going to hit OK. Just going to bring this one over a little bit with the white arrow just stretched out a little bit. And I'm going to zoom out. Control or Command minus on the keyboard. Then you can just click and drag around all of this. Now we could do Transform Each, but another way is to use the Rotate tool. So go to the Rotate tool and set the middle. See how that little the rotate point is right there. We need that over here, so just left click over here. And then hold down Alt on the PC or Option on the Mac. And then click. And we got 30-degree angle. That's good because that's divisible into 360. So we want something divisible that would fit exactly into 360. So I'm going to hit copy. And then I'm going to press Control D on the PC or Command D on the Mac. And get a nice little radial pattern. Alright, you know it's symmetrical. You know it's perfect spacing in between all of them. So that's one way to create that. Another one is negative space in logos. And we go over that. You know, the FedEx logo. It has, this is the most famous example, but this has that arrow right in there in between the E and the X, getting from point A to point B basically. Since that relates to the theme of, shipping. So how would you do a quick negative space technique? Well, if you draw out some kind of shape and then you draw another kind of shape inside it, so you can draw it to the side or you can draw it, on top of it right away. Let's just say there's some kind of spoon that we were going to draw. And then you just click and drag around both of them, minus front in the Pathfinder, and then you got quick negative space. You can, of course, use negative space with text. If you type something in, click and drag it out here, and you can have it go off the side. If I click and drag around both of these, minus front, it's not going to work, right? What I need to do is right-click over it, create outlines. We'll be going over the importance of that, and then click and drag around both of them, minus front. And there we go. The BMW is another landmark logo case study. Now, a lot of times when you do circular text, it might not look as professional, but theirs is actually a good example. So how do you do type on a path? We're going to be going over that as well. So if you use the pen tool, you can click and drag, and then click and hold onto the type tool and go down to the type on a path tool. Then you want to hover over, and then you can type in your text. Make it a little bit larger here. Logo goes here on this path. Alright, so you've got type on a path technique. If you want it on a circle like the BMW one, you can click and drag and hold shift with the ellipse tool, and then use type on a path tool. Click right on that path, and then you would have your type on a path. So hopefully you've learned some quick techniques, some quick wins to hopefully inspire you to learn a lot more in this course. You're not just going to be learning techniques in Illustrator, even though you will be learning that. You'll also be learning sketching both on paper and in Illustrator, best practices as far as color and type, and much more. But first we're going to be going over what makes a logo great, and I'm going to be using previous student examples from my university students, many of whom are graphic designers now. So I'll see you in the next lesson.